329. I believe we have an amendment on 329. Eileen, it appears to be a pretty simple amendment. I can probably explain it unless you want to. Okay. The Treasurer's Office made a request to me yesterday due to the time-sensitive nature of the bill, if we could move it to the register instead of the statute book. So if you look on page 2 of the amendment on the backside, it does move it from the statute book to the register. So, any questions on the amendment? Is there a motion on the amendment? Olson moves, Dietrich seconds on the amendment. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The amendment is adopted. What's your pleasure on the bill? Senator Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we pass out Senate Bill 329 as amended, favorable for passage.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Senator Fagg seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 329 is passed out favorably for the floor. Let's turn our attention to 337, which was the other bill we heard yesterday that just clarified the charter date for TEFIs in the state of Kansas. Any questions or discussion on that bill? What's the pleasure of the committee? Senator Olson.
Thank you. I move that we pass out Senate Bill 337, favorable for passage.
Senator Hildebrand seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. 337 is passed out favorably for passage. Next item on the agenda is a hearing on Senate Bill 335, so I will open that hearing. Eileen, can you give us an overview?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Senate Bill 335 amends KSA 2222B pertaining to business entities that offer association health plans. This bill offers an exception from the payment of the annual premium tax for business entities described in KSA 402222 that offer coverage in the state of Kansas for medical, surgical, chiropractic, physical therapy, speech therapy, audiology, professional mental health, dental, hospital, or optometric expenses through self-funded health insurance. Just so you know, self-funded health insurance plans are regulated through the federal government, not the state. So those are plans that are not subject to the jurisdiction of the state insurance commissioner. And with that, Mr. Chair, I can stand for questions.
Thank you, Eileen. Committee, are there questions of the reviser? I see none. Thank you. We will now turn our attention to the proponents. First up is Alex Orrell, Senior Vice President, Government Relations, Kansas Bankers Association. Welcome, Alex. Hope you've warmed up.
I am a little warmer in this building. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Poor Alex's furnaces went out on his house last night. 53, is that what you got down to?
53 on one side, 57 on the other. So if I'm not in the Capitol this afternoon, committee, that is why. I did have a service call this morning, so that is good news. They did call me back. So, but thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, committee. For the record, I am Alex Orrell, appearing on behalf of the Kansas Bankers Association. It is my pleasure to also introduce Kelly Van Zoll, who you know, Assistant Vice President of Government Relations. Also have two special guests here as resources here today from the KBA. I have Alex Gregg, who is President of KBA Insurance, and also Elizabeth Roche, who is Senior Vice President of Employee Benefits Administration, who administers our health plan for the KBA. Thank you for the opportunity to provide proponent testimony on Senate Bill 335, which would help keep the cost of health insurance as low as possible for association health plans like ours that are regulated by the U.S. Department of Labor and under the jurisdiction of the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. I'll skip the overview of the KBA since you heard that from me in fast pace last week, but I'll give a quick refresher of KBA insurance. KBA Insurance is a subsidiary of the KBA and founded in 1900. We offer bonding, property and casualty, cybersecurity, bank director liability insurance, life and health insurance products for the Kansas banking industry. In 1940, our members requested a new service, health insurance for our members. And today, KBA's self-funded plan now helps insure over 12,000 Kansans at 175 Kansas financial institutions. Because of the size of that plan, we are the second largest group plan in the state, behind the state itself with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, with our premiums totaling $64 million in premiums a year now. The structure of that plan is very strict. That plan has a separate board of directors that is different than the KBA board of directors. They do not answer to the KBA board of directors. They have a strict fiduciary responsibility to that plan and to the members of that plan to keep the cost of healthcare as low as possible. We have strict oversight and strict regulation by the U.S. Department of Labor and ERISA, and we were recently audited by the U.S. Department of Labor and passed with flying colors and with no further action needed at the end of 2019. Once again, like Eileen said, appreciate the overview and appreciate her work on the bill and drafting this. There is no oversight of our plan by the state or the Office of the State Bank Commissioner, Office of the State Insurance Commissioner. I'm used to saying the Office of the State Bank Commissioner. Although there is no state level, we are subject to a 1% state level 1% premium tax on our plan. That 1% premium tax goes to the Kansas Insurance Department and is 100%. I was reminded of that from Mr. Lee Modisett this morning. That 100% of that is actually swept into the state general fund and is spent on general expenses by this legislature. Our plan now, because of its size, that total in 2021, that 1% tax is now more than $630,000. It is a significant cost to our plan. Once again, we do not reserve any services for this tax, nor is there any oversight. There are other ERISA plans in this state that are not association health plans. There's the City of Topeka health plan. There's the Shawnee County health plan. There's employer groups like Blue Cross Blue Shield employee plan. Those are all ERISA plans. They are not subject to the 1% premium tax. So AHPs are under statute right now, in our eyes, are being singled out as the only ERISA plans in the state that have to pay this 1% premium tax. This piece of legislation would provide an exemption for ERISA plans that are AHPs from having to pay that 1% premium tax and would bring parity to those bring parity to those ERISA plans. As you all know, the cost of health insurance is going up. It is our duty and our responsibility and our fiduciary responsibility to our members to keep that cost as low as possible. We see this 1% premium tax as an unnecessary barrier for us trying to do that exact thing. I'm going to stop there, Mr. Chairman, because I know there's other testimony, and I told you I would be brief. But once again, this is just an exemption for those ERISA plans, those association health plans. That is it. That is all we're asking for in this bill. We think it's pretty straightforward. So we thank you for your consideration of this, and if the committee does take this up, we would respectfully ask for favorable consideration, and I would stand for questions at the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman.
Alex, thank you very much. Committee, are there questions of Alex? Senator Gossage.
Thank you for being here. Are you aware of what other ERISA association or association health plans that are subject to ERISA that this bill would affect, other than KBA?
There is one other group that is going to testify right after me, the Agri-Business group. They are subject to this too, and I believe they had to pay over $280,000, but I'm not going to speak for them, but they're going to testify next. But there's really two major association health plans that are subject to this tax.
And is this considered employer-sponsored ERISA health insurance plan, or how does one become a member of this plan?
This is a captive insurance plan, and you would have to be a member of the association or member of the employee of the bank or employee of the co-op for the next proponent to be a participant in this plan.
So it was not just created to create health insurance. This was already a membership in place.
My understanding would be yes.
Thank you.
Additional questions? See none. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We will now turn our attention to Brandy Miller, who is the President and CEO of the Kansas Cooperative Council. Brandy, welcome to committee.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, members of the committee. As mentioned, I am Brandy Miller. I'm the President and CEO of the Kansas Cooperative Council. I also have with me Catherine Parrington. She just got married, so I'm still struggling with that in my brain, so I apologize. She's the Executive Director of the Agri-Business Benefit Group, and so that's the other plan currently under ERISA. And thanks, Alex, as well, for providing some great background. I've spent some time in front of you before, but just as a reminder, the Kansas Cooperative Council is an association that works on behalf of all cooperatively structured businesses in the state of Kansas. But the majority of our membership is in the ag-retail farmer-owned cooperative space. And this particular issue is very important to that membership of ours. So in 1983, the early 80s, we went through a similar experience that you heard from the Bankers Association. One of the core principles of cooperatives is cooperation among cooperatives, and so cooperatives were facing really high insurance premiums, and so they came together with another insurance cooperative, actually now known as ProValue, and formed the Agribusiness Benefit Group under ERISA, and so that was formed in the early 80s. This plan provides insurance to 65 different cooperative employers. They have around 6,000 employees and dependents on this plan. Cooperatives really value their employees, and as we've been polling our membership, we have found that many of our members actually pay full premiums for their employees, which is quite unusual, as you probably are aware. And there are actually cooperatives in the state of Kansas that are paying full premiums for their dependents as well. Obviously, as we continue to see rising healthcare costs, it's not sustainable. And so Senate Bill 335 would eliminate an unnecessary tax on the premiums that Kansas cooperatives pay to the state of Kansas. As you've already heard, there's no state regulatory oversight on this plan as it's federally regulated. So this bill would help ease some of that burden of unnecessary costs that are ultimately being passed down to cooperatives. So I appreciate your time this morning. I was also planning to be very brief, and I'm happy to stand for any questions the committee may have.
Brandy, thank you very much. Committee, are there any questions? Senator Dietrich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and you may not be able to answer this. I should probably even ask Alex this. At what point was this 1% assessed? Was it at the creation of this?
No, Senator. It is my understanding that this was created in 2014.
Very good, thank you.
Are there additional questions? See none. Thank you very much.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Committee, let me call your attention to proponent written-only testimony from Catherine Partington on behalf of the Agribusiness Benefit Group. Is there any additional proponent testimony? Is there any neutral testimony? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the bill? Seeing none, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 335. Committee, that completes our work for the day. We will not meet tomorrow. We will not meet on Monday. And check your calendars for 3 days next week.